Oh, morning. Monday morning. I worked on the printer all weekend, and boy, it's cool. Some things I know I do different, um, but I'm really liking it. It's solid. There's no messing around. You shake this, you shake the whole table, and you can see my coffee shaking. There's no flexing this thing. It's just awesome. But anyway, got the Z mostly mounted and done. Notice something. The only thing bad about using these modified motor mount deals is that you lose about a ½ inch of height, which, you know what, I've never run a printer up that high printing anything that tall anyway, so to me, yeah, totally worth it. But if you were building something like this using that kind of part, you'd just make this taller, I guess, you know, and then you wouldn't lose that. Yeah, I'm really liking how stiff everything is, and like the captured that 5mm rod, which works really good. You know, I can show you that spring. Oh yeah, I broke my coffee pot. I usually make coffee in the kitchen and then walk the pot down here, and the hot plate on the coffee pot I had down here broke, so using my printer. And it seems to be working good. You gotta do what you gotta do on Monday. And let me show you that springiness. Let's see if I can get in here and show you. See that? I mean, I got pulled pretty hard, but it's still. Oops. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, yeah, it's springy. And let me see it. See that flex? Probably help if I wasn't shaking the camera, but yeah, now this one, there is absolutely no springiness. That captured nut, or the double nutted up against that holder, that works really good. It took all that springiness is gone, and everything is just so rigid. It's awesome. And at least now I know they're gonna work, and I can print Greg's parts, and I know that I can send them, and I know for sure that they work. So I get back on printing some of that, and let's see. Yeah, just got to build the plank that holds the hot plate, and the bushings for that. All this stuff has to come apart again, because I have to put the bushings, I have to fit the bushings to these rods. So that'll take me a little while, but everything's got to come apart again. No big deal. It was a big pain in the ass, you know, tapping and drilling and marking where all the holes go, and making everything just dead nuts on to where this slides really good. I mean, that was a lot of work. And I think if I ever were to do this again, which I could build another printer like this with the metal frame, I think I'd take the time and just modify the parts to accept like a 10mm smooth rod, instead of having to turn the rods down to 8mm. That was a lot of work, taking the ends of every rod and turning them down to fit in the 8mm hole. I think I'd just take all these parts, sit down for a couple days, and design them to accept 10mm, just the same way that the 8mm are used. That would be smarter and a lot less work, I think. But another thing that I would do different, see this whole frame, all the cuts were like 45-degree angles. And if you've ever like put baseboard or anything in a house, like finished work and you work with 45-degree angles, they're kind of tricky to work with. Like the parts can be just fudged a little bit, and it'll either like gain a little width or lose width and gain height. It's just real fussy to get the corners right. I think what I would do if I ever did this again would be to just run them long, run square cuts and just run them long and open, and then after the whole printer was built I could just print end caps that would just end cap the steel. That would be a much smarter way to do it. And I think if you planned ahead, you could drill holes in the part that runs wild. You could drill holes there, weld it all together, and you'd have a place to run wires and stuff that, you know, I think that'd be an awesome idea to run wires inside if you had an easy way to get at them later. But you can't do that when you fill them with lead, of course. But I'm never doing that again. Yeah. But I think that's how I'd do it. Just square cuts, welding square on. If you had this piece of steel butted right up square against this, and you put a little magnet holder or whatever, like to hold it while you're welding, and you could lay it down flat on a table and do all this, and it would just be so much easier, and much easier to measure correct lengths and things. That this one was just, it was a fiddly pain in the ass to do it with 45-degree cuts. So yeah, that's what I would do. Is just use square cuts and run them long and cap the ends to where you can get in there anytime you wanted. You just pull the caps off. I'm digging this motor. I got that all mounted. My drill can't reach that bottom hole, so I gotta wait till I pick this up or something and drill it real quick and cap it. But just 2 screws in each side. Boy, that thing is on there. It is solid. I'm digging that. That's gonna make a nice connection. But yeah, that's where we are. Yeah, I'm really loving how solid it is. It's gonna work. It's gonna work nice. I have no doubts. Having second thoughts about the Bowden. This style works so good, and when you're changing colors, it's real quick. You just undo that bolt and you pull the filament out and plop a new one in. You only have to put it in there 2 inches. But a Bowden, you gotta run that filament up, 2 feet to get to this part. I don't know. It just seems like a lot more of a pain in the ass. I may not worry about trying that yet. You'll notice the motor's going on the right side. I had the file for that all printed up from last time. I think I actually printed some for some other guys that were right hand side, and it kind of threw them off, I think, or at least one of them. But I'm gonna do it. And Greg, I printed his mirrored, so his motor's gonna be on the more traditional, like this one, the motor on the left, because if you're looking online for to copy or advice to build something, you're always going to see the motor on the left. But I'm putting it on the right, which all the electronics will be on the right. My extruder's mirrored, so the motor on the end of the extruder, or on the, it's going on the opposite side. It'll be on the right hand side. That just makes the wiring easier for me to do and figure out, without running overly long and over the other direction. I don't know, it just makes more sense to me. But the reason I did that, because on the left of this one, it's close to the frame, and on the right of this one, it's close to the frame. There's no extra sticking out. And these printers are going to get swapped eventually. When I get done, making a mess over here, I'll clean this all up, remove the blue printer. The blue printer will go down here. This printer will go up there, and they can sit closer together, if that makes sense. the motors will be out of each other's way, way out of the way, and yeah, that's how I'm gonna do it. You take up less room on my table, so I can fill it up with more junk, I guess. But that's my thinking. Yeah, but all the parts that I've got put together so far are awesome. They're all working just like I wanted, and everything is super secure, and there's virtually no flex. I mean, yeah, it's good. I'm real happy so far. But yeah, just go slow. When you're so anal about putting things together correctly, it just seems to take a long time. I wish I was faster at it. But I think if I ever built it again and did those little changes, it would go a lot quicker, because I wouldn't have to fiddle with 45-degree cuts and that kind of stuff. So, well, it's Monday. I gotta get my butt in gear. Take care.